The second group is by Lorenzo and Vito. We have a missing part in the team due to some work problems. And the project is about the dataset by dati.camera.it. So we'll talk about politicians and deputies and laws and votes.
Good morning to everyone. Thanks for coming. Today, I'll start with a presentation of our project, and then I leave the floor to Vito later. Let's start by introducing ourselves. Whoops. So we were a group of 3 people. The Luca Ferreri, who didn't make it today, but I mean he contributed till the end to the project. He's sorry he couldn't make it. He was the mathematician of the group, and let's say we all. During the project, we all worked on all parts of on every part of the work we're going to present. But let's say we all specialized to some extent in some direction. So Luca did mostly the network analysis part. Then Vito, another mathematician, and he was our best person for D3 visualization. So we relied on him to do that part because we really were not too able to do it. And finally me, I'm Lorenzo, and unfortunately I was just playing economics, and I mostly, let's say, played around with topic modeling and text analysis because it was the part of Big Dive that I enjoyed the most. I mean, if I had to choose one single topic, it's the one I like to play with the most. So the data we used is open data from the Italian Chamber of Deputies, and it's a very large data set, public data set, that contains lots of historical data on let's say, people and events related to the Italian Chamber of Deputies, so to the Italian Parliament. The historical data, some of it goes back to the 1800s, so the time series for some variables is very, very long. And what's interesting is that we have full personal records for every deputy, political group membership information, and information about voting behavior of individuals, vote by vote. The dataset is available at dati.camera.it, and part of the data is available in RDF triples, so that are dumps that have to be downloaded and parsed locally. This part, and we decided not to use this part, so we only relied on the Sparkle endpoint, and we made queries because this allowed us at least to split the data in smaller chunks, and so it made processing everything easier. Even with that, we were time constrained. We thought it was a better solution. Just to give you an idea of the complexity of the data we were dealing with, for every person, this graph, this is the graph of the ontologies of dati.camera.it, and for every deputy, we see that we have loads of information. I mean, here, each one of these links leads to a world of possibilities. So it's actually complex just to query at the beginning, to get used to and to decide what to do with it and what to choose. We would have wanted to use everything, but unfortunately we couldn't. So our initial plan was to, let's say, to make a presentation or to have a work that was centered around the D3 visualization. And our idea was to have a dynamic graph with interactions, with a full record of every person, and animations showing all the transitions, all the events, every possible event on select. But I mean, at some point we realized it was a really bad idea. It was too much stuff, and we had too little time to do it. So we would love to do it one day, but we really had to rely on a plan B. And so plan B is what we're going to present today. So once we got our feedback on the ground, once we got our feedback on the ground again, we laid down some goals. And what we decided to do was to, let's say, look for patterns of voting behavior and use them mainly to, let's say, compare group affiliations with the actual behavior of congressmen. That is, we wanted to answer some questions that were, are the groups, so the groups, the parties, are they consistent in terms of behavior of their components? And are there some members of Congress that actually are probably in the wrong place? So they're voting differently from their colleagues. And are there specific themes, that is, specific laws or specific types of laws in which these in which patterns of behavior are particularly evident? So the idea was to answer these questions to start understanding something more about political behavior, and who knows, one day predict a political crisis in advance. Would be interesting. So the tools we used were mainly, we used Sparkle, the Sparkle endpoint for queries. Then Python was, for just about anything else in the analysis. And scikit-learn and NLTK were our libraries of reference for text analysis and topic modeling. NetworkX and Jeffy helped us a lot in visualization, in the network part, for visualization, for the analysis of the network, and then all the other libraries possible. And then D3.js we tried to play with to have a final visualization to show you. So where did we get? Up to now, we did manage to, let's say, we do have a network of political similarity between congressmen that is based on how similar their behavior in voting was. So how many times, on how many bills did congressmen vote the same way? This is our measure of similarity. It's related to this. And from this we could, let's say, establish a map of the political groups and start assessing political internal consistency, meaning comparing a classification based on party membership and the classification based on this similarity measure, and we are starting to see some patterns and to see which groups are more consistent and which are less. So which are more homogeneous and which are less heterogeneous. And then we did collect all the statistics about every change that happened, so who, which group and when, but we still did not include them in the analysis. We're planning to do it sometime. And then finally, we have some preliminary results on topic analysis, but there were some technical difficulties on this, and so, I mean, Vito will show you something, but it's extremely preliminary. It's a pity, but it was tougher than I thought at least. So, demo time. I leave the floor to Vito.
So, let's go to the demo part. Okay, so this is just a screenshot, and we had this data, and we explored the data in several directions. So one of them, as Lorenzo said, it was the topic extraction. Was not complete. It's not complete at this time. Probably 2 hours more would have been sufficient. But okay, so okay. But you see, we were on the right track, because okay, there are some bag of words here which makes kind of sense. Okay, so this is a visualization. This is a heat map where on both sides of the square there are the deputies, so 648 deputies of the current Italian legislature, and they are regrouped by party. Okay, so these are the groups in the Italian parliament, and what are the colors? The red means that 2 deputies have voted in the same way most of the times, and blue means that the 2 deputies have voted in opposite ways most of the times. And so we can, so our initial question was, are the groups internally consistent? And actually we can see that, so the party of Beppe Grillo is quite consistent, quite homogeneous, and also the party of the majority of the parliament, the PD, is also quite consistent. and the other not so in the same way. But actually, this is an averaged, aggregated visualization only on the first month of the legislature. And now we will see some the evolution of this map according to time, according to months. So, for instance, this is October 2013. And we see at that period there was quite a, extreme separation between the party of Beppe Grillo and basically all the other ones, except maybe for the group SEL. Okay, and then actually, if one look at the evolution for all months, the pattern which appears is that things gets messed up. With time. So, for instance, this is May. This is so 2 months ago, and we see that there are not so clear patterns at that point. Okay, we tried several visualizations. So one of the original ideas was to draw deputies in a graph. So where the distance between so each circle is a deputy, and 2 points are very far if they vote in different ways, and the colors are the affiliations, the memberships to groups. And okay, we had no time to put a legend, but I can tell you that this is the party of Beppe Grillo, this is the PD, and well, this is Scelta Civica for those who know, and this is ACL. Okay, we see also there is a clear split between the groups. This makes somehow clear and evident at a glance the situation, the geography of the parliament. Okay, so we also tried a D3 visualization. This is a screenshot, but now we go to the real one. Okay, so I explain what is in here. Here there are the deputies again, so there are 648, and here there are the votes, the bills which have been voted in the current legislature, and they are 91 up to now. And okay, so for instance, well, a point tells what the deputies of the corresponding to the deputy corresponding to the column, how he votes to the bill corresponding to the row. And okay, if we hover with the mouse, we have information on the name of the deputy, the group affiliation, the date of the vote, and well, there is a description of the title of the bill in some sense, and some titles are very long, others are kind of shorter. Okay, and I forgot, the deputies here are ordered by group again. So where the white lines here, they split between the groups. And okay, so this is the big one where there are many favorable votes. Is of course the majority party, the PD, and this is the party of Beppe Grillo, which has some sort of striped pattern, and okay, and one can get information about the topic, not about from the title of the bill. One can get some information. For instance, we know that there was one single secret voting in this legislature, and we see that there was, I don't know if you can read, but it is on ethical issues, so homophobia and something like this. This is usual in the parliament. Okay. Okay. In principle, we could, here the votes are ordered according to time, but in principle we could put another order, and the rows organize themselves, and okay, so one could think to regroup the orders, the bills according to topic. So integrate the topic extraction parts with this visualization and see if there are patterns which appear. Okay, so I go back to the presentation. Okay, so now let's speak a little about the problems and difficulties which we encountered during this week. So, of course, okay, so the data were not, I mean, there were lots of data, not all of them were equally available on the endpoint of the website of the Chamber of Deputies, and so in particular the current legislature was organized in a different way than the previous ones, and so this was the reason that for which we focused just on the current legislature. Okay, then you may have heard sometimes people complaining that there are too many deputies, and I can give an additional reason for that. There are more than 600 deputies. They kind of they are quite heavy for the D3 to handle. Of course, time constraints as usual, and well, we had to somehow to delve into the way of into the procedures of the Italian Parliament, which are not always linear and simple. Okay, for the future, what could we improve? So of course, get more data, and so integrate the previous legislatures, integrate also the topic extraction with the rest of the analysis, and try to do some machine learning prediction algorithms, which in some sense introduce a measure of political stability or instability and try to predict when some deputy change from one group into another one, and for the visualization